We're going to cover the bases right now, guys. Need your favorite plays in the following categories on tonight's Major League Baseball slate. This is the final weekend of the year, the final 3 days of the season. It is hot. First base, favorite DFS pitcher is who, Kenny?
It's going to be Nestor Cortes of the New York Yankees. Look, it is hard right now in the last few days of the season to find a pitcher who's going to be pitching in a meaningful game, who's going to care about this one. I know, obviously, you saw Rich Hill last night, right? There are good outings to be had. But let's look at Nestor Cortes here, and here's why. He's got a very high strikeout rate, up over 27%. And the Tampa Bay Rays, they are up there in WRC plus to lefties, but still 17th in OPS, and the big key number, 25.5% strikeout rate against lefties. They just have not been able to solve left-handed pitching all year long. They've found a little bit of power, but Nestor Cortes is a guy that's good at inducing the soft contact. The strikeout prowess is there. We want to see that strikeout upside in DFS. I think he has it. He can get over 6 strikeouts, and that would make him a very nice play at $8,900 in a game where the Rays might just not really care if they win or not. They already wrapped up the best record in the AL.
Paul, favorite DFS pitcher, who is it?
I'm going to follow Kenny's lead and stick with the games that matter, Emerson. So I'm going to look at the Seattle game tonight. I expect Marco Gonzalez to continue his outstanding work of late, keeping the M's in the wild card hunt. He costs $8,400 and comes into play on a real tear, going 7-0 in his last 10 starts, while posting a whip of .91 and an opposing batting average of 192 in his last 64 games. 64 innings pitched, rather. He faces an Angels team that has no motivation tonight, so should roll over them. Steven Matz is regarded as the number 5 starter in the Blue Jays rotation, but he's looked great in going 5-1 in his last 10 outings, punctuated by a 48-17 strikeout to walk ratio and allowing only 4 homers in his last 53 innings pitched. He gets an Orioles club that will lead with pitcher Thomas Meiselman, who has a whip of 164 and an opposing batting average of 301. I expect a good night for the Blue Jays offense.
Okay, Matty, who do you expect a good night from on the mound in DFS?
This is kind of a weird day. I think this is an under-the-radar wild baseball slate because we have some situations where teams clinched or were eliminated from the playoffs last night. So the Astros clinched the AL West. The Phillies were eliminated from contention. The Braves clinched their division. So I think Tyler McGill may be facing a bunch of backup Braves hitters. So I'm looking there at 8,900. But honestly, I think you don't need to look to the pitchers who have something to pitch for. I think just taking advantage of really good matchups might be the way to go. So Dakota Hudson for the Cardinals, I don't think is a very good pitcher. His last appearance, though, he did go 4 innings out of the bullpen, and he's facing a Cubs team which we know is just not a good offense. And the Cubs' best hitter this season is Patrick Wisdom, who is currently on the IL for the rest of the year. So it's a really strong matchup at home. The Cardinals have nothing to play for right now, locking themselves into that second wildcard spot. But 6,800 for a pitcher, I think this is a night where you can pay up for some offense. So trying to find someone cheap, I think, will be harder to do, and this is the guy I'm looking towards.
Okay, let's go to second base here, guys. Talking favorite DFS hitter, Paul.
I'm really pulling for Sal Perez this weekend. He needs 2 homers to get to 50 overall. Wouldn't that be something? We've never seen that from the backstop position. He's priced at $5,500 and comes into tonight's action on a 12 for 36 tear, which includes 3 homers and 8 extra base knocks overall. He faces John Gant tonight, who has a 4.85 ERA in his last 26 innings pitched. So I like Perez's chances here. As a Jays fan, I saw way too much of Gio Stanton and Aaron Judge. Consider Stanton 11 for his last 37, Judge 10 for his last 33. That's in their last 10 games. They picked the perfect time to get hot and showed off their power strokes in leading to a key series win against the Jays. I think they will both continue their recent hot streaks versus Tampa tonight. So I suggest a mini stack of them at $5,200 and $5,700 respectively. I'll throw in a value play that I like with David Peralta. He has not hit too well of late, going only 5 of his last 29. But I'm going to test my theory of looking at the head-to-head matchups when there's a significant sample. It's a 17 for 40 record against Rockies' John Gray. I say it's worth a shot at only $3,400.
All right, Matt, who's your favorite hitter?
So I'm a little bitter about this one because 2 days ago I picked Fernando Tatis Jr. against Max Scherzer, and Scherzer gave up a bunch of runs. The Padres scored 9 for the game, but Tatis didn't play that night. So he just didn't get in on the action. And then last night, Tatis hit maybe the longest home run that anyone's ever hit at Dodger Stadium. Like, he's still playing for something. I know the Padres are eliminated, but Tatis is now in the number 3 spot, I think, for the MVP race. And I think that's his motivation. Like, he wants to be in that conversation, and maybe he thinks he has a chance to win. I honestly, though, I don't think motivation matters a ton. Once these guys are out there, they're playing the way they're always playing. So as long as he's in the lineup, right? So the motivation might just be the Padres don't care about this game, so they give him another night off. That's my concern. But if he's out there, Anthony DeSclafani, I think, is a fine pitcher. It's just that Tatis is maybe the best DFS player in the league because of his home run and speed combination, and he's a shortstop. And I don't think a lot of people play him because I think most people will look towards the teams that have something to play for. I think Bo Bichette of the Blue Jays, for example, or Xander Bogaerts, those will be the higher-owned shortstops. Tatis probably gets overlooked. So at only $5K, which is kind of a discount for him, I think, he's my favorite guy for tonight.
All right, Kenny, which hitter do you like in DFS?
Yeah, Matt preaching a lot of sense here. That's why we call him, that's why his Twitter handle is Preaching Sense. And look, I do think that is a good call to go to the pitchers in good matchups, the hitters potentially. There's a lot of them that could have good games that aren't in meaningful games. And one of them is Christian Yelich. I think Christian Yelich is a very good play here at $3,900. He doesn't have, of course, really anything to play for because Milwaukee's well into the playoffs at this point. But when you look at his numbers against Clayton Kershaw in his career, he's 9 for 25. That's 360 with 2 homers and a double. And this is a guy that has completely turned his season around. I will also take this platform to say, go out and get this guy in dynasty leagues if you can. If people have given up on Christian Yelich, over the last month and a half, really, I mean, stemming from a Cardinals series way back when he came, he just basically came through in the clutch for the Brewers. He's been on fire. He's got 6 hits in his last 5 games as well. 23rd in WRC plus over the last 2 weeks, a minimum of 20 plate appearances. I think that this guy is hitting well. We know he is incredibly talented. He's won the MVP, and he's facing a guy that he's very familiar with in Clayton Kershaw. I think $3,900 is a very, very cheap price, but I would be lying if I said he was technically my favorite player. Because, I think Giancarlo Stanton going up against, Shane McClanahan, over 47% hard hit rate. He's gonna just mash the baseball. But I really like Yelich here at this price.
All right, let's go to the hot corner. Let's go to third base here, dudes. Let's go to the DK Sportsbook. Favorite run line or money line bet, Matt?
So the pick that I had in mind as of 20 minutes ago, I can't really say anymore because the Mets were plus 135 for their game in Atlanta tonight. The line's dropped 30 cents. They're down to plus 105. And I think what's going on, which we'll see a lot across the board, is that teams that don't have anything to play for, especially if they just got into that status as of today, like the Braves who clinched the division last night, they're not going to play most of the regulars. Freddie Freeman probably won't be in the lineup among other guys. So the Mets are already on the move. I can't really recommend them because the line has moved so much. So I think I may have to go with the Marlins because that line hasn't moved a ton yet. They're around pick'em against the Phillies at home. And this one is worth monitoring because it's going to depend entirely on who starts for the Phillies tonight. But they're out of the playoffs now, so I think Real Muto, Harper, Segura, McCutchen, all those guys may not start. And if that's the case, I think the Marlins should be significant favorites. I like Ranger Suarez, but Sandy Alcantara is probably still a better pitcher. The Marlins are at home. These lineups could be pretty even if the Phillies are playing their backups. So that's tentatively my pick because it's going to depend on if the starters are in.
Paul, where are you going for your favorite run line or money line bet?
Before I rag on the Red Sox, I'll remind listeners that I'm a Jays fan, and I know they lost 2 of 3 against the Yankees, but I'm more surprised that Boston dropped 2 of 3 in Baltimore. And tonight, the Post Sox visit Washington, and I expect their struggles to continue. That offense has been a little inconsistent of late, and their starter, Eduardo Rodriguez, has been up and down in his last 10 starts as well, and it affords a platoon advantage to a couple of red-hot bats in Keibert Ruiz and Alcides Escobar, along with the presence of the lefty slugger Juan Soto. That's going to be a tough night for him, I think, and he's been hitting against everybody, Soto has. So I like their chances tonight. The Nats will start lefty Josh Rogers, who's impressed in his last 5 starts with a .229 opposing batting average, a .273 ERA over 29 2/3 innings in that stretch. I'll take the Nats at plus 170 on the money line tonight. The Dodgers need to keep the pressure on the Giants for at least one more night, and they line up behind their leader, Clayton Kershaw, against a Brewers team that has come in and they're hot, home and cooled out, rather. The home side won't blow this opportunity, so I'll take them at minus 1.5 for the 110 payout.
Young Kenneth, how about you?
Yeah, I like the Yankees. No surprise here at minus 130. And again, look, I think the Rays you saw last night, they didn't really deploy a lot of their high leverage relievers. They just wrapped up the best record, home field advantage out the playoffs. So I don't think that they're really going to go balls to the wall here to win this game. when you look at the matchup, I don't think it's a good one for Shane McClanahan coming in with the 4.63 xERA. Obviously, he has that electric fastball, but this is a very good fastball hitting team, and that 45.4% hard hit rate, 420 xWOBA on contact. I can go on and on. The bottom line here is this guy's giving up a lot of hard hit balls, and the New York Yankees might be the most intimidating lineup to face right now if you are having issues giving up hard hit balls. Stanton and Judge with 9 homers over the last 9 games. The Yankees have won 8 of those over the last week. The Yankees are tops in barrel rate, fourth in home runs, and 4th in hard hit rate and WRC plus. I just don't see a way where McClanahan makes it out unscathed. And if they're able to fall behind, then we already talked about the Rays' adversity against left-handed pitching with Nestor Cortes in a good spot. I think that this could get away from the Rays early, and I don't think they're going to be bringing in their high-leverage guys to save this game. So I think that the Yankees could go on and, I think, lock up the wild card here with the win.
All right, guys, we're heading home. Favorite game total on this Major League Baseball slate. 14 games to choose from. Paul, talk to me.
I'll give you 2 of them. The game total at 8.5 between the O's and the Jays will be easy pickings tonight, as I expect the Jays offense to be in high gear, and the O's come in feeling pretty good about themselves too after taking 2 out of 3 from Boston, like I said. Take the over in that one. The Giants continue to roll along on top of the NL West and have carved out a 6-game winning streak most recently while limiting opponents to 14 runs in that stretch. I think that trend continues tonight against San Diego, a club that has lost their last 6 games. I'm counting on the Padres starter Joe Musgrove to keep a lid on things. He's had a string of 6 of 7 quality starts. I'll take the under 8-run total here tonight.
All right, Kenny.
I'm going to go with the over in Red Sox Nats. It's all the way at 9.5, but I still like it. The Eduardo Rodriguez has really struggled over the last month or so. A bit of roller coaster ride coming off a shaky outing against the Yankees. But really, the bigger reason I like this is Josh Rogers and his 90-mile-an-hour fastball. That's how he pitches to contact. It's not going to go so well for him against the Red Sox lineup that seems to have woken up, can hit left-handed pitching. And the Nationals, in their own right, have been very good against lefties all year long. It's been the best spot to back them. So I think that both of these offenses can have some success and go over the total by a few runs.
Matt, favorite game total tonight?
So I'm looking at some of the same spots as Kenny. I basically agree strongly with about half of it and disagree with the other half. So I kind of like the under in the Boston-Washington game, actually. And a lot of it is just the weather. I know I've been harping on weather a bit lately, but Washington is a hitter's park generally because it's really hot and humid there. Tonight, it's getting colder. We're into October. It's going to be like 60 degrees. I don't think Josh Rogers is good, but I also Boston is losing their DH tonight, which means JD Martinez may not be in the lineup. So I am kind of taking a wait-and-see approach with a lot of these games where it's just, let's see who's in the lineup. I think there's a lot of uncertainty across the board. But the one thing I do agree with Kenny a lot more is I think the over is a good spot in the Yankee game, and it mostly comes from that Yankee side. So I just think this offense is much better than what's being projected here. I don't like McClanahan that much, but I also think Nestor Cortes is a little bit overrated. And again, this will depend on the lineup. So if the Rays run out their A lineup, which they have done here and there, the Rays have been locked into the AL East for about a week now. Nelson Cruz plays some games, rests some other games. So assuming he's in there, if more of the regulars are in there, I think you can go to the over there. But basically, I'm waiting to see the starting lineup for just about any game tonight. And these are kind of just where I'm leaning pending these starting lineups come out.